Universal Design for Online Learning, presented by Jessica Y. Green, Walden University, presented to Dr. Henry Pratt, course EDUC 7109. The purpose of this presentation is to give the audience an overview of the concept of Universal Design for Learning, or simply UDL. The audience consists of middle school teachers in the Houston County School District who teach majority at-risk minority students in a Title I school. Through this presentation, teachers will have new information and resources that will assist them in their quest to reach all students and teach a diverse group of learners how to learn effectively and efficiently. The planning of instruction graphic organizer that is displayed includes the components of the presentation, how the presentation will be presented. Next, the presentation timeline details the content of the presentation, what exactly will be reviewed. As you can see from the list, UDL will be covered in its entirety. Then the technological resources and tools or supplemental resources that will be needed to complete the presentation are included. These are some of the same tools that teachers will need in their personal classrooms for everyday instruction if UDL framework will be incorporated on a daily basis. Because lecturing will not appeal to the majority of learners at my school, the idea of a teacher-centered classroom is not encouraged nor not possible. A student-centered classroom where students are given hands-on activities, are engaged and are active participants of their learning environment and their learning experience is required. These technological tools will assist teachers in programming instruction through multiple means, such as including audio clips, video clips, and other forms of multimedia. Here is a word cloud that was used in creating Wordle, which can be accessed by going to www.wordle.net, WORDIL. This word cloud includes words related to the idea of universal design for learning. These are words that you will hear and see throughout this presentation. So, I want to begin by defining exactly what universal design for learning, or UDL, is. The universal design for learning is a framework that addresses the needs of diverse learners. It builds maximum flexibility and maximum opportunity for learning into the curriculum through daily instruction materials and activities. It provides a blueprint for creating instructional goals, methods, materials, and assessments that work for everyone. Overall, UDL is a set of principles for curriculum development that give all individuals equal opportunities to learn. As we get into the history of UDL, it is important to know that it began in the field of architecture. This idea taught architects to design buildings from the beginning that will work for everyone, as opposed to having to go back and make changes or additions after the building was already built. Theorists adopted this ideal in education as a way to express that information and knowledge should be presented in a manner that appeals to all learners from the very beginning. There are both non-digital and digital examples of UDL. Of course, the non-digital examples that you see listed would be those that appeal to architects, and the digital examples that you see listed can appeal to educators. Brain research and education are explicitly linked to one another. Although brain research alone cannot tell us how to teach children, understanding the brain leads to explaining how learning actually occurs. With this in mind, there are three neural networks of the brain, including recognition, strategic, and affective. Recognition addresses the what of learning. It is the part that is in the back of our brains and involves all the axons that come from our sensory organs, including our eyes, our ears, our nose, and our throat. Strategic addresses the how of learning. It is the front part of our brain and involves all the axons that leave and go out to our muscles, allowing us to do such things as move, do skillful things, and make plans. And lastly is affective, which addresses the why of learning. It has to do with our emotions. We can accommodate diverse learners by using an array of teaching strategies and methods suited to each of the brain networks. This slide shows some examples of the instructional methods of recognition networks, including providing examples and supporting background knowledge. Here are some examples of the instructional methods of strategic networks, including providing ongoing relevant feedback and offering flexible opportunities for demonstrating skill. And here are some examples of the instructional methods of affective networks, including offering choices of content and tools and offering choices of rewards. The Center for Applied Technology, or simply CAS, makes the idea of digital technology in education possible. Digital technologies are critical because they offer flexibility to display content differently and allows flexibility in marking content. Examples of such technologies include the internet, websites and web pages, and electronic versions of books. Overall, technology is essential to UDL because it is the vehicle to providing accessible and supportive educational environment for diverse learners. Universal design for learning has the ability to greatly influence student learning. This is so because if used correctly and effectively, it can allow for flexibility and provide various opportunities for students to learn. My school is a Title I school with a majority African American population of low socioeconomic status and of low reading and math scores. With this in mind, instead of having a one-size-fits-all approach to learning, it is important that our teachers differentiate learning in a manner that will meet the needs of all of our students, from our high achievers to our low achievers. Overall, teachers give students an opportunity to succeed by differentiating instruction and presenting information and knowledge in a manner that is beneficial and meaningful to these students. And students are given more of an opportunity to succeed because they are able to demonstrate learning in ways that are beneficial and meaningful to them as individuals. As it relates to brain research and learning differences, in order to teach a diversity of learners, we need flexibility to provide multiple ways of presenting the information so that all students are accommodated and supported, flexibility to provide multiple ways of students being able to express themselves, making sure that there are alternatives built into the ways that we ask students to express themselves, and thirdly, multiple means of engaging needs to be provided. Regarding the implications of learning differences for instruction and learning, I found a quote by Felder and Brent from 2005 that states, "Students have different levels of motivation, different attitudes about teaching and learning, and different responses to specific classroom environments and instructional practices. The more thoroughly instructors understand the differences, the better chance they have of meeting the diverse learning needs of all of their students." Three categories of diversity that have been shown to have important implications for teaching and learning are differences in the students' learning styles, which include their characteristic ways of taking in and processing information, approaches to learning, and intellectual development levels, which can include their attitudes about the nature of knowledge and how it should be acquired and evaluated. For the purposes of this presentation, I chose these three CAS 2 resources. Number one, because they were all free at no cost to the school or to the students to implement. But I also chose these three because I felt that they could meet the reading needs of the students that I serve, as I addressed earlier that we serve as low readers. The UDL Lesson Builder provides teachers with models and tools to create and adapt lessons into their classroom instruction that could meet the needs of any general education curriculum. Being able to view and incorporate successful lessons that were implemented by others is a way to not have to reinvent the wheel. Next, the UDL Strategy Tutor helps students read, research, collect, and understand information better and more effectively or efficiently. Most of our students' problem is not that they can't read, whether they can't comprehend what they're reading. Therefore, I thought this tool would be helpful in teaching reading comprehension. And lastly, the Teaching Every Student site offers model lessons, interactive activities, tutorials, curriculum resources, and other tools that teachers can use to enhance instruction. I've already mentioned the advantages of lesson plans created by others, but this site also includes interactive activities. And of course, we know that interaction always tends to increase engagement in learners. The last step of the planning of instruction is assessment. Of course, we know that assessment can be the form of feedback. Assessments don't always have to be quizzes and tests. Of course, at the end of every lesson is the opportunity and also the necessity for feedback or for assessment in order to see exactly what students have learned. Encouraging students to be active participants, as we said earlier, usually require the creation of a product in an attempt to demonstrate learning. And this is a form of assessment. To conclude, listed is an array of resources or references that were used to create this presentation. I hope that you have enjoyed viewing it and that the intended purpose of providing an overview of the idea of UDL was realized. Thank you.